Tennessee fans, we're back again on the Big Vol'n podcast. Make sure you subscribe on the Field of 68 Network, Big Vol'n podcast. Wish I was coming to you on this Monday with some better news as Tennessee suffered another tough loss with a difficult performance all over the place. Plenty of blame to be shared all around. We've got an awesome guest recorded with C.J. Watson a couple days ago, so he wasn't able to give me a reaction to the recent loss, but we've got an awesome interview with CJ and his experience at Tennessee and also in the NBA. But before we get to that, wanted to give you a little quick reaction on the Tennessee game. Look, I mean, the positives, if you want to draw any of it, the freshmen continued to play extremely well. But as Coach Barnes has said, this offense can't rely on the freshmen to carry them. That needs to be one of their weapons. I've said many times that Tennessee, in a perfect scenario, they've got three weapons. They've got the freshman guards who can break you down one-on-one. They've got their normal offense where they can pass, share the ball, make open shots, where they get a lot of assists per made field goals. And then the third option being the post game down low with Pons and Fulkerson. Is it too much to ask that they have all three of those weapons in the same game? Maybe, maybe not. Because we've seen it happen before, that's become the expectation. And I know Coach Barnes is not going to lower those expectations, holding these guys accountable and trying to see if they can't turn the page. I think one of the things that's got to bother them the most, where I think this really could turn out to be a good thing, because all the talk has been about where's the offense? Where's the offense? What's wrong with Fulkerson? What's wrong with this, that? But the way Auburn beat Tennessee, where a lot of it was effort, getting out rebounded, allowing Auburn to just dominate the offensive glass. Those are things as a team, when you enter the film room, that coach points out and says, these things are unacceptable. We won't allow them to happen. Now, here's why I think that could be a turning point. As soon as you start playing the game and all you're thinking about is being the tougher team, hustle plays, 50-50 balls, now all of a sudden you're not thinking about your shot as much. You're not forcing it as much because you're just worried about playing hard and executing the game plan. We'll see if that can't translate on the court for Tennessee. Their non-conference wins are carrying them. Kansas, big-time win against Baylor, makes that Kansas win that I did not think was going to stay and stick on the resume as good as it has. Boy, Tennessee looks pretty good there. The win against Arkansas is looking pretty good as well. So if this Tennessee team can just hold on, yes, they have to get better, but a lot of it's protecting that NCAA projected seed. Right now they've got them at a 5. Not sure if they bump to a 6. But a little dose of optimism there too for you. The furthest Tennessee team has ever gotten in the NCAA tournament, the Elite Eight, under Bruce Pearl back in 2009, I believe it was. What seed were they? A 6 seed. So you don't have to have the best, most inspiring regular season. You got to get in the tournament, get a decent seed. Maybe an upset happens here or there, and next thing you know, they could be playing for a Final Four berth. But obviously nobody's talking any Final Four right now. It's just about fixing the consistency problems that Tennessee has shown. So week to go before the SEC tournament starts. I think Tennessee will bounce back. I think they'll protect that NCAA tournament seed and stick around that 5-6, hopefully land that 5 spot come March Madness and do their thing, be in the Sweet 16, and we can put some of these regular season struggles behind us. With all that said, we are now going to move on to a guest, a great friend of mine, former teammate, our first ever NBA guest, C.J. Watson. You know him as Quiet Storm. C.J., let's go. We'll get back to the show in a minute, but first, let me tell you about our partners over at DraftKings Sportsbook. With March Madness beating down our door, DraftKings is the best way for you to get a little action in on the game. If you have not downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app yet, what are you waiting for? It's the safest, it's the most secure, it's reliable, and it allows you to safely deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. And this week, they are offering my listeners a pretty sweet deal. If you sign up now with the promo code FIELD68, you can turn $1 into $100 if one of the main event fighters in UFC 159 this weekend lands a single punch. That's it. One punch to turn $1 into $100. And don't worry, if MMA isn't your thing, DraftKings Sportsbook offers odds and promos on basketball, hockey, or whatever sport you're watching. But since they're basically giving away $100, you might as well sign up now, watch a little UFC, And remember to use promo code FIELD68. That's FIELD68. Must be 21 years or older. Offer available for a limited time only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We're back again on the Big Vol'n podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the Field of 68 Network, Big Vol'n podcast. And guys, you're going to be excited for this one. Our first ever NBA player joins the Big Vol'n podcast. Former teammate of mine, also shares the same birthday. A star was born on that day, just didn't happen to be your host. But your guest, CJ Quiet Storm Watson, all the way out on the West Coast. What's up, CJ?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm great, man. Appreciate you coming on. And a father of three and a published author as well. You're working the book scene, which I want to get into later. So I know you're a busy guy despite being retired. So, I did want to get in and just share with everybody, for those that hadn't played it as high of a level, when you go through the basketball camps, the Nike All-America camps, any type of seminar you go through, everybody's always telling you, look around the room, only 1% of you, maybe less than 1% of you is going to make it to the NBA. Now, everybody in that room is saying, well, too bad for that other 99%.
Right.
But
Right.
let me tell you, you made it, man. And we hadn't had a chance to speak much since you've gotten into the NBA and now retired. But just got to say on behalf of everybody, congratulations, man, on a hell of a career.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you. It was definitely, a fun ride. It goes by fast, just like when people told me about college, it's going to be a blink of an eye, you're going to be a senior, and it was pretty much true. But yeah, like you said, those seminars, those Nike camps, Adidas camps, those were full of, amazing talent. I know I was on the same class as Carmelo Anthony, Raymond Felton. LeBron was at our camps a couple of times because he was playing up. And like you said, those guys are always telling you it's only 1%. And I was one of those kids saying, it's going to be me. I didn't really have the talent like all those other guys or the notoriety, but I thought, my hard work and effort would get me there. And obviously it did. But it's just one thing to get there, and it's another thing to stay for, 10 years like I did, or even more. I feel like I could have played a couple more years, but, that's another story.
Yeah. Well, you earned it, man. And for anybody that hadn't been around you or wasn't around our locker room, everybody knows the work that you put in, the dedication, and we'll get into more of the professional career. But as you went overseas after your senior season, everybody thought, man, if CJ can just get to the NBA, he'll be there for a long time. He's so steady, such a pro. And the rest is history. But I'm going to jump straight into some drama at Tennessee. The Tennessee fans love to know as many great memorable shots you made and assists that you made. You're top 10 in like 6-7 different categories. Tennessee fans love to talk about the C.J. Watson elbow to Joakim Noah.
Yeah.
So when we were down in Gainesville, what do you remember about that play? I don't know if for the folks that maybe don't remember, we win that game in Gainesville. That gives us a clinch for a share of the SEC's title in Bruce Pearl's first year. I'm not sure we win that game if Joakim Noah doesn't get taken out of the game with a bloody tooth. You'll have to tell us if there's any malicious act there or not. But
honestly, it definitely wasn't malicious. I was just trying to clear some space and kind of be physical. Like I said, at the time we were, my senior year, Bruce's first year, we were just trying to make a name for ourselves, and I thought we had a great team, a great system with Bruce and the style that he brought there. And like I said, I was just trying to make a good play, get him off me. I just felt he was too close. And a crazy backstory about that, me and Joe were actually teammates for the Bulls.
Right.
Probably 5 or 6 years later. And first thing I see him, he says, "No more elbows, man." I was like, we just started laughing because he remembers, and now he got his tooth fixed and all that kind of stuff. And Joe's a great guy, a great teammate. And, definitely wasn't malicious, but I was just trying to clear some space and let them know that, there's some new kids in town and we were trying to take over the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays, because let's see, you had already left, but the next year at Memphis, Joey Dorsey of Memphis gave me a mean elbow. It hit me in the chin, but not the tooth. I stayed in the game. I got the charge call. But I'm like, that was, I don't even think it was a flagrant on you back then. It was just I think it
was just an offensive foul, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just an offensive foul. And then then there was a period where that you could have been ejected for that. But now you could argue it's a cylinder foul for Joakim being too close to you. So
yeah. Yeah,
How that was.
I would just always thought to clear some space, and if the guys are too close and throw that elbow, they'll back up. Either
I'm
they
gonna.
get hit or they move.
This certainly is about Tennessee, and I don't want to lose any subscribers here by talking about Florida. But everybody thinks we must have hated Florida so much, which we did.
Yeah,
But I always looked at Joakim Noah as, look, a guy you don't like to play against, but would love to have on your team. I've never known him like you have, but I'm glad to hear you say he's a great guy and good teammate, because I was always, aside from us playing him, I was a fan of that team. I mean, he didn't talk a lot of trash on the court. He talked to the fans. But what was your experience like with him as a teammate?
I mean, it was kind of the same. But Joe, he talked a lot of trash. He talked trash. He talked trash to the coaches, to the refs, which is why I love him as a teammate because, like I said, Joe was one of those players like full of energy. He was very hype, even in practice. He would get everybody hype in practice, and like you said, he was one of those teammates that would ride for you and die for you because he leaves it all on the court and he plays hard. And but he definitely talked trash, but you love it though because that gets everyone hype. It gets us playing our best game, and obviously sometimes it gets the other players and the best players on the other team playing their best game, which kind of we don't want that at times. But Joe brings it out of them, which makes us step our game up also. So it was great playing with him.
Yeah. Well, the staying with your Tennessee career, we're both recruited by Buzz. He gets fired after my sophomore year, your junior year. You were one of the few players that was having individual success despite the team not being able to get over the hump. You're on the radar for the NBA. You were one of the top point guards in the SEC. What was your mindset like when Buzz got fired? Because you guys were really close. You, Brandon Crump, were really close to Buzz. And when I had Chris Lofton on here, he was like, "Man, my first thought was transfer. I'm gone."
Right.
But this was a different era for everybody that's listening. This wasn't just you were going to be immediately eligible. That was you were sitting out if you did that.
Right. Yeah.
What was your mindset like when you got the news of Buzz? And I know that was hard for you, but then turning that next page on where your future would be.
It was definitely weird because, I think the moment he got fired, me and someone else, one of my teammates, were walking down the. Sorry about the phone ringing. One more teammates were walking to class on campus, and a reporter comes up to us and is like, "Oh, did you hear your coach got fired?" And we were just shocked and didn't know. And at that time, there was no Instagram or Twitter, so you couldn't really find out. Reporters just walked up to you, and we just kept walking, didn't even answer his question, but. To answer your question, I was thinking about leaving the draft. I talked to my parents. I was going to put my name into the draft because, like I said, I didn't know who the new coach was going to be. I didn't know if I would fit in his system. I didn't know, how things were going to go, if I would like them, and things of that nature. So I was going to put my name in the draft, and I talked to Bruce maybe once or twice about entering the draft, and got some feedback from the draft prospects and GMs and of all that nature, and just decided to stay the senior year and fill it out. And Bruce really wanted me back, so I was like, let's come back and see if what he tells me is true. Most of the stuff was true. Bruce is definitely a salesman. He'll sell a car to you, man, with no rims. But he was definitely true to his word. And believed in me and believed in our team and in his system, and that we would work in his system.
I still feel like that car is going to get you where you wanted to go. It just might not
for sure. Yeah.
have all the tools.
Yeah. It might stop on you once or twice, but it's going to get you to your destination.
People always ask me, like, when did you know? I'll share my story. I mean, I think for a lot of us, different than you, but myself, and again, to brag on you, there was. And I don't want to bash our former teammates, but as things were going south under Coach Peterson, and we knew we weren't going to make the NCAA tournament. We didn't know he was going to get fired, but the season was getting out of hand unless we won the SEC tournament, which was unlikely. But you had some guys, hell, they were booking spring break trips in like February, like just knowing that we were not going to go to the postseason. We had some guys quit, sit out, whatever, or take a long ass time on some injuries, whatever it might be. But there was a handful of us. That, I mean, we might not have always played great, but we stuck with it. We had good attitudes. We were there for them through the thick and thin. I didn't always agree with Buzz on certain things, but we were loyal. We played hard, and it's no coincidence that guys like yourself and Chris thrived when a new opportunity came under Coach Pearl. And I think that's such a big part with kids today is just learn how to stick through it, and you'll learn so much about yourself and to the other coaches, whether it's a new coach coming in or not. They're going to find out, what were you like on that adversity. But when people ask me, when did we know? I mean, we were excited when Bruce came in, just style of play. It was fresh to us. But I go back to a Division II Southern Indiana exhibition game. And you know as well as I do, when games got close up until that point, and this was an exhibition again, we were always kind of a play not to lose. Like you could kind of sense the panic in the huddle if the game got tight.
Yeah, right.
And Bruce saw that, and he said, guys, because we were winning, but then they were coming back. We're like, oh my God, here we go again. We're about to lose to a defense. And he said, guys, we win these games now. This is why we're brought here. And I remember that just giving me a piece. And ultimately, we won more close games than we lost. But I mean, what about you? When did you realize, like, you know, we might have something pretty special here in year one?
I think it was maybe 5 or 6 games in. Just kind of, I feel like it takes me a while to buy into new system, into new situations, and I think that's kind of really what it took. Just kind of really seeing if what Bruce was saying was actually true. And I think the biggest thing for our team, I think that year is kind of honestly moving you to the 4. I think having 2 point guards on the floor, that helped us a lot. Made us more of a threat. And like you said, guys couldn't guard, big guys at the 4 back then couldn't guard you at the 4 position. I think that made it, I mean, obviously you were probably undersized on defensive end and rebounding, but you know, you worked through that because of your toughness and all that kind of stuff and that, but that helped us a lot, moving you to the 4, you get into the basket, you know, open up driving lanes, you know, things of that nature. It just made us a better team, I think.
See, what's funny on that, and you're nice to compliment me, but I'm very aware of my weaknesses.
No, yeah, so am I.
But I tell you this though, the fact that I couldn't shoot worked to our advantage a lot, because teams would sag off me and they'd be like, play off non-shooter, and we just I just dribble and hand it off to Chris. He'd shoot behind me. I just do a dribble handoff, and it was buckets. I was getting the easiest assists of my life. Chris was just shooting right over my head, and it was all because people were playing off. So I won't claim there was a method to my madness, but I agree that the 2 point guard lineup. And you and I, look, we've got a little bit different personalities. You know, we were close, but, I mean, we weren't like best friends off the court. Yeah. But I tell you, like on the court, I always mention your name when I talk about chemistry, man. When you got guys that have played the point guard position, and sometimes it's not always the point guard, but it's like, I mean, from day one, I never felt like you had to tell me what you were doing or vice versa. Like we just had certain reads, and we could look at each other, or you would make certain cuts. And that's one of the coolest parts of just about a natural chemistry in a game. It's like, man, those 2 dudes just think the same. And
I think it's all about IQ also. We both had, you know, smart IQs. And especially bringing in Bruce's system where it's so spread out, you know. I forgot, was it called cutters or something like that?
Yeah, cutters.
Cutters, yeah. Cutters, you know, just open up driving lanes for you, for me, you know, shooting for Chris, you know, post-ups here and there for Major, alley-oop lobs for Stan. Like it opened up everyone's game, like to the 10th degree, and I think that's what made us even better.
And we were doing that small ball stuff really before anybody else was. I mean, Draymond Green and the Warriors, but like we were forced to do it. But my favorite play I've shared on here before was there was a couple of favorite plays, but Face. Do you remember Face?
Face, yeah.
I think Coach Shea drew that up. I think he drew it up at Texas. They were denying you the pass back to you, and it was just he dribble one way, ball fake to you, and a quick backdoor. And it was kind of like they might be on you, but you throw it over the shoulder of the defensive back if he's not looking, and it was just kind of a super play. And Jason Shea loves this story because I remember coming back to the bench that game. This was early on in that season, and I was like, damn, y'all are good, man. He was like, what? He was like, I was like, man, y'all just drew that play up and it worked. Like I'm used to running a lot of plays, but I hadn't seen them really work over the past few years. That was fun to see.
Yeah, but, especially on the fly too, like that.
Yeah. What can you say about, because I've lived it too, you did it better than I did, but Tennessee basketball right now, there's some seniors that aren't playing as well, struggling a little bit. And I think something that people underestimate is just you're so excited and you want to do so well and you're well-intentioned, but you can put so much pressure on yourself that senior season. What do you recall about that senior season and some of those just outside variables? Not necessarily outside pressure. You had a great family. They wanted you to make it, but they didn't necessarily rely on you to buy a new house or any of that stuff. I mean, there's still the pressure that comes with it.
Yeah, for sure. I think mostly, you know, I think it's tell of 2 different eras. You know, now there's so much pressure because of social media. because of Instagram. Facebook guys are looking on there and looking for highlights and just looking for instant gratification from that arena. But I think like you said, just being in tune to who you are. For me, my senior year, it kind of was pressure, but it kind of wasn't. But I knew, if I didn't make the NBA, I can maybe go overseas and maybe make a career out of that. Or if not, just get a freaking job and work and start a career. There wasn't really no other option. But I think, it's kind of all the pressure that they put upon themselves. But at the end of the day, it's just basketball. You just got to have fun. And at the end of the day, the chips are going to lay where they're going to lay. And hopefully they, make their dreams come true if that's what they want to do, playing basketball or, getting a job or a career and working. So I think you can't really put too much pressure on yourself. Just go out there and have fun.
And you were really the breakthrough guy to have balls, balls in the pros. Like, you go through the hallway and Thompson Bowling Arena in the locker room, and man, that balls in the pro was really it was really sparse. I mean, it was Bernard
Slim,
King, Allen Houston, and it was like, all right. Number one, we're trying to get them not to even look at the Pat Summitt trophies down the hall.
Right, yeah. It's hard to miss.
The pros between you, Tobias Harris, Grant Williams, Schofield, Jordan Bone, all these guys, it's been awesome to have some representation there. As you get to the NBA, though, it was not an easy path. You go overseas, but then you make the decision to come back to, at the time was the D League, now the G League.
Yeah.
Was that mostly about – because financially it's better overseas, but exposure-wise, I got to think that had something to do with why you came back
no,
to the
really,
States.
honestly, really, my first year overseas, I hated it. I was away from my family. I was over there by myself for 8 months, whatever, in a new country. Didn't know any language. Was trying to learn the language, and then also my coach got fired. Like I had a new coach every month, so every month I would play. We do terrible. Coach got fired, so it's adjusting to new systems over and over again. Same with Buzz and Bruce or whatever. So I didn't like it at all, and I actually wanted to quit basketball. I'm not gonna lie. I decided I wanted to quit and give up, and I told my parents. I think I went from Italy. I got traded from Italy to Greece like mid-March, April, and my parents came over to see me for my birthday in April, and I was just talking with them, just saying how frustrated I was. It's not going how I planned. I should be in the NBA, blah, blah, blah. I'm better than this. And, just talking to them, just airing out my frustrations. I told them I wanted to quit and I wanted to, go back home and just start working, start a career. And they kind of just talked me out of it, told me to keep working. This is not what you're here for. You're not a quitter. And so they pretty much just talked me out of it and stood by me. And the other reason I didn't go back overseas was because I just had a daughter. So I wanted to, be here. I didn't want to be thousands of miles away and talking to her on the phone all the time. So I wanted to be close to her and be in her life. So, and that's kind of why I stayed.
Boy, that's amazing. That's great stuff, man. Family first. And that's the bookends there. You got your parents keeping you motivated. You got your daughter motivated. And then here you come back to the States, make the most out of the D League at the time opportunity where everybody knew you could pass the ball. You were such a cerebral player. You weren't going to turn it over hardly ever. But the challenge was for you to show that you could score the ball. Am I correct? I mean, that was
right. Yeah,
that was one of those things where you had to show that you were selfish. How tough of an adjustment was it to sort of change your game a little bit to be a little bit more selfish?
I mean, it wasn't tough because, like in high school, I was mostly a scorer. I never really played point guard. I played mostly two guard, but in college was the first adjustment where I played strictly point guard and had the ball in my hands a lot of times. And there were players better than me who I had to get the ball to, and it wasn't just, about me scoring. So the natural ability was always there. I just kind of adjusted to every situation just to, I guess, make my teammates better and my team better. And also just show that I was capable of doing other things and just score. So that was a knock on me that I couldn't score. That was at the time where NBA point guards were scoring more. It wasn't your traditional point guard. So I was like, all right, cool. If y'all want me to score more, then that's what I'll do. So I went to the D League, averaged like 25, 5, 5, and 5. And I was like, all right, this is what y'all want me to do. I'm doing it. So what's the issue now? And just kept talking with my agent. And we kept going back and forth about every team that was available, injuries, things of that nature. And I just told him for 2 weeks, don't call me until we actually get a call up. I'm sick and tired of hearing teams, they like me. they want to, do something maybe in the summer league and things of that nature. So I was just like, don't call me. And 2 weeks he didn't call me. After that second week, he called me and said we got a call up, and then that was kind of the gist of the story.
But and correct me if I'm wrong, because I was researching to make sure I got this right, and hopefully it's correct. But there's the call up, and so there's the excitement of, all right, I've got a shot in the NBA. I'm in the NBA now.
Yeah.
But it's a 10-day contract. So at the
Right.
same time, man, I mean,
Stressful, yeah.
now the nerves are there. And with the Golden State Warriors, and for our listeners, me and you used to joke all the time, I love Baron Davis. You liked him too. And so,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden you're getting called up to back up Baron Davis. You're amongst the stars.
Right.
And here you are on a 10-day. I mean, you're the perfect person to just stay composed. You're so even keeled. And I got to think that composure that you always have has helped you tremendously under a tense 10-day window, which I think led to a second 10-day. So, the celebration couldn't really occur right away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely crazy because, like you said, Baron Davis is one of my favorite players, and even still to this day, like he's a big brother to me. I can call him. I go see him and his kids all the time in LA. But yeah, just going to that first practice after getting that call up, it was like a dream come true because I had Baron Davis, Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, Coach Don Nelson,
Man, y'all had a wild
Monte
locker room,
Elson.
though.
Yeah, it was crazy. I thought Tennessee
room.
was a wild locker room, but that locker room was times 10. And it was just crazy because like I always looked up to Baron and playing video games with him, and now I'm on the same court with him. I can talk to him. I can ask him questions. I'm sitting next to him on the plane. Like this crazy scenarios like that. It was just kind of shocking, but I feel like I worked hard for it. And like my first game I played in the NBA. I remember like it was yesterday. I played the Portland Trailblazers, and they just told me to go out there and have fun. And Coach Nelly told me I was going to get in the game. We were getting blowed out, and just going out there and had fun. Had like 11 points, and just kind of honed my skills after that. And when I scored my first bucket, I was like, yeah, I know I can play here. So it was pretty cool.
I bet it was, man. That's awesome stuff, and I'm sure it feels good when you look up to somebody like a Baron Davis, and he takes you in. Like those guys are rooting for your success as you come to that locker room, to where you're not on pins and needles. What was NBA always being the dream goal? What were some things that you said, man, this is exactly what I thought it would be, and even better? And what were some things about the NBA that you said, man, this is different than the childhood dream that maybe is a lot tougher or not as good as people may think on the peripheral?
Right. I would say the thing that I say is a little different that I had to find out is just the business aspect of basketball, how people get traded, and I guess just the politics of it. There's politics and everything, but I didn't really think there would be politics in basketball because it's a game you love, game you play, and you didn't really play it for money or things like that. You just play because it was a love of your life. You're pretty good at it, and you just kept working at it. And the thing I would say that was still kind of fresh was just I guess the aspect of basketball. Just being in the locker room with guys, just taking me back to college, just being in the locker room, just talking, hanging out, talking and hanging out with the team after, going to dinners, going to lunches, and really that Golden State Warriors team was kind of where was kind of like a family. We did everything together, hung out, went to eat, went to walk around the malls. Like someone had a barbecue, the whole team was there, coaches were there, so it was kind of like a family atmosphere still.
Well, that's I got to think is really unique because you got different ages in the NBA. So like sometimes a guy's 30 years old with a family and there's no off the court stuff at all or whatever. And so that was sort of a young group that still had some of their bachelor time. But I got to imagine, I'm speaking for you here, but just being in that locker room, seeing that Watson on that NBA jersey, the logo, the socks, all that stuff that you're like, all right,
it was crazy.
Here. Like I'm not letting this thing go.
Like I thought we got a lot of free gear, in college or whatever, which was still it was stingy because they gave us like one or two shirts or whatever. But just seeing that NBA logo and getting the free socks and the free tights and knowing that it's not just one, it's unlimited kind of. It felt pretty good, and it just felt like you made it. And like you said, putting that jersey on that first time when I played, it was just kind of memorable. And I still have the picture of the game that I played in the first game.
and I won't hold it against you that the fact that you got all this unlimited free gear. You know when the hell my birthday is because it's the same. And you became best friends with my favorite NBA player, and not one like just screenshot, no video, anything. It's just like, hey, B Diddy says what's up. Like, there's time.
I'm gonna have to FaceTime you next time I see him.
Hey, you got to, man. You tell him I was always. He was like Baron Davis was the first guy that threw it off in my mind that threw it off the board to himself. He did it at UCLA, and he was a 6'3", like 225 point guard that was just tough as nails, and he threw it off the glass to himself. And when I was in high school, I wasn't nearly as athletic, but I could dunk. But I was 6'3", and in my mind, now I was fatter than Baron Davis, but I was always like, hey, I'm 6'3", 220 like BD, and I was always trying to throw it off the board myself. And so that's my guy, whether he knows it or not. But you got traded around. I got to think, your most competitive year, would that be with Chicago as you guys went to the playoffs, as you backed up D-Rose? Was that the best team you played on?
That was probably the best team. Yeah, we had the best record 2 years in a row, and we went to the Eastern Conference Finals the first year, and also I went to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers too. So those were some good years. Also, I feel like every year was good to me. It was fun because I got to pick my destination. I didn't really get traded around. I was a free agent in the summertime, so I got to choose kind of where I wanted to go and where I wanted to play, what the team looked like.
But I got to interrupt you, CJ. I'm having a brain fart. Your coach in Chicago, that's got such
Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, that has got such a tough reputation. Tell me about those Thibodeau practices. Are they as hard as they?
The practices were super hard. The practices were easier, or the practices were hard and the games were easy. Because like we would do closeout drills every day. We do the same drills every day. Like it didn't change. We knew what we were doing. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. And like I said, he prepared us, I think, he was preparing us for the playoffs because that's what our mindset was. We wanted to go in there and win. At the beginning of the year, no one even expected us to go to the playoffs because we had a whole new team, a young superstar, and then everyone else kind of just fell in line. There was no egos. There was nothing. We all just had fun. And that was another team where we all hung out together after games. We would all go eat at the same restaurant. We would all hang out on the road together. So it was a fun team.
So, he gets a bad rap for wearing his team down and they don't have any legs at the end of the year and all that. Any truth to that? Do you think he's got he knows what he's doing with it?
I think there's definitely some truth to it. I'm sure now he's probably calmed down a little bit. But yeah, back then we were practicing, hard for 2 hours straight. We literally had like 80 plays in our playbook. We would do dummy offense, and we go over every play. But we only ran 5 or 6 plays in the game. I think he was just doing that just to get us in shape and keep us because he didn't want us banging all the time. But we definitely had some hard practice, but they were good for us.
Some of it is as a professional athlete taking care of your body, getting in the ice tub, all those things.
Yeah.
So, I get it. So you bounce around a few teams. I got to ask though, like craziest locker room story you got. I'm betting it goes back to Golden State. I mean, that's a wild crew there. But what's one that you can share that you're like, or maybe it's Joakim Noah with the coach getting into it or whatever it might be.
I would say, off the top of my head, I would probably have to think about that because it's a lot of them.
Tony Delk, a friend of mine, he was on the Warriors where PJ Carlissimo got choked by Latrell Sprewell, and hearing him tell that story was pretty amazing. So I know you. That's an extreme.
That is actually a good story because PJ was my coach in Brooklyn, and I asked him about that because I was just wondering. Because I kept seeing him at practice, I was like, man, he looks familiar. And then I just looked around his neck, and after I read the article about him, his scratches and stuff, I was like, PJ, what really happened? He told us the story. It was actually, not a good story or whatever, but, it's pretty interesting just to how it all happened or whatever. But it's definitely but there's a lot of crazy stories in the NBA. Like, it's not a crazy story, but it's just funny to me how Nelly used to bring his dog to practice and his dog would run around the court. And he wouldn't care about anything. And we would literally be in practice for 45 minutes and Nelly would just be sick of everything. He'd be like, all right, let's go. And, everyone takes off and goes their way.
And he's got his dog. What kind of dogs he got he's bringing to practice?
It's like a little, I don't know. I don't even remember what kind of dog it was, but it was like a little, well-trained dog, but he would just run around practice when Nelly would come in and Nelly would tell her to sit, he would sit down, and when he's ready to go, he would leave.
Oh man! All right. So as you bounce around different teams, you know, you got like over 250,000 followers on Twitter. Like how many game tickets you giving out to these fans? What's the for Quiet Storm, kind of an
I don't know,
introvert
man.
guy? What's the secret? You got more. You got to leverage this thing. You're a mini Kardashian, man.
Now I gotta start putting that monetization to use. I don't know how I got all those followers, man. I don't know. It's just one day I woke up and it was 100,000. The next time it just kept going up and up, and now I look at it now it's decreasing. So maybe just people don't like me anymore.
Oh man, well I hope you're hyping your book up. I give you a chance to talk on that. You've got 3 children's books that you've written. Can you tell us some about that? And I have purchased one of them, haven't purchased the other 2, but that's still one more than you ever bought from me when I had my book. So
Hey man, you never told me you were an author. I had to find out through the internet.
that was after you left. I had to wait for you to leave so I could do the tell-all book that you want to be mad at.
Right. Yeah, so my book, it was just honestly inspiration. I never, planned to be an author. It was just something that I honestly just thought about. I thought about being in the NBA, and I said, that's inspiration to kids, but basketball isn't the end all be all. So I wanted to continue to kind of tell my story and tell how I grew up and the things that I went through growing up. And that's what mostly I talked about in the first book, CJ's Big Dream, which is about basketball, growing up in the inner city, but still going to a private school, which is a better neighborhood, and having to see the different areas between the two, and kind of getting over that and still having success with the dramatics of living in the inner city. And my next book is called CJ's Big Dream, which is teaching kids about schoolwork. Because in my household, my parents taught me and my brother to always keep our grades straight. If our grades aren't straight, then we can't play basketball or go outside or do anything at all. So just teaching kids about how important schoolwork is to them, and homework and things of that nature. And the last book is called CJ's Big Dream, and it's about one of CJ's teammates getting bullied by the school bully, which is on his basketball team. And CJ just has to make a decision to stand up for his friend. And at the end of the story, they all stand up to the bully and beat the bully in a positive manner. So just teaching kids how to stand up to bullies in a positive way, and do things in a positive manner without, drama or guns or knives or anything like that.
Was that inspired by Jameer Hendricks hazing me at Tennessee? You had to step in and save the young freshman. Any of those?
It might have had a little bit to do with it, but I was actually there's a school bully when I was like in the 4th or 5th grade who the story is really about, and so that's what the story is about, the school bully. Definitely the names have changed, but that's how it happened to me. But that's why I wanted to tell only true stories. That's all my stories are true. I wanted to, be authentic and tell kids that, you're not the only one going through these things. Us athletes, us entertainers, whatever you want to call it, go through the same things, because we're all human at the end of the day.
That's great stuff. I promise I'll pick up the other 2 books. Encourage everybody else to buy them as well. I'm sure you can find them online, Amazon, other places. And great stuff. I've got young kids. It'll be great life lessons. So last question before we do a couple quick hitters. But again, the quiet storm, because you have the quiet personality. However, when you're in the stands as a parent now at your daughter's games, I'm hearing that you're not maybe as quiet. You still keep to yourself, or are you standing up yelling at the coach?
No. I'm not yelling at the coach. More my stuff is really just mental with my daughter. Because I think the mental game is more, detrimental than the physical game. Any athlete can be talented and good, but they're not mentally strong, then they'll never make it. They'll never get through any big crowds, any tough situations, close games, things of that nature. So I'm definitely not the parent to yell. It's my wife who's doing all the yelling. I had to stop her from getting into fights a couple times, just at my daughter's games. But it's definitely fun to see my daughter play sports and to see her love volleyball so much. She played basketball at first, but she didn't like it. She actually liked it. She just didn't like falling to the ground and stuff like that. So I think volleyball is a better sport for her. But I'm definitely glad to be able to see her play and to see the joy as a parent. Now I know what my parents, kind of felt like when I was playing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm definitely not that loud parent. Not yet. Maybe in a couple more years.
All right, some quick hitters. Best memory at UT.
I would just say really the first day I stepped on campus was the best memory because without that then it wouldn't be any.
All right, most memorable win.
Most memorable win. I would say I like playing on the road. I like beating people at their house. So I say that Florida game where we clinched the share of the title that year.
Yeah. Most memorable shot you made.
In UT or just ever?
Yeah, UT.
I don't know. I don't think I had any game winners.
You had a big time three in one of those Florida games, I think, on the side there as well. You hit some clutch free throws, I know. But all right, I'll let you go. NBA, Bishop Gorman, wherever you want. Best shot you ever made overseas, any of it?
I would say the best game maybe is like when I had 40 in the NBA. It was a lot of shots. I went like 10 for 10 the first half, so it was a pretty good night.
Who'd you do that against? Who was it?
Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, you put up 40 in the league, man. That's nuts. All right, final prediction. Where you got the Vols? I know you hadn't been able to watch them a ton. They're reeling a little bit right now, but they should still be around a 5 seed. Where you think Rick Barnes and company finish up this year?
I see them going to at least the Sweet 16, getting there, and maybe the Elite 8. So, like I said, I haven't watched a lot of basketball, Tennessee basketball, but I'm definitely going to watch it during tournament time and SEC play.
All right, man. I got nothing else for you. You've been great with your time. This is awesome insight. We've done a lot of this with former players and coaches, but we hadn't been able to get the NBA perspective, something I didn't live. So I've always been curious to talk to somebody I know and have the utmost respect for to hear about that experience. Great stuff, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. Tell your parents I said hi, man.
Oh yeah,
your dad used to be at all the games, be up back behind the bench lit, screaming at me.
I think you saw him at a Grizzlies game when you came to town. They might have had a few beers at the rendezvous beforehand or something.
No, he had one in his hand in the game. So every time we played Memphis, I knew your dad was gonna be right there yelling at me.
You know it's all love, man. So, all right, everybody, make sure you subscribe. Big Vol'n Podcast, Field of 68 Network. This has been one of our best episodes yet with the former NBA star, Quiet Storm, CJ Watson. Thanks, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.